Loki was a trickster, clever and charming, but his greatest legacy was not his mischief, it was his monstrous children. The gods of Asgard tolerated his antics, but they feared what he had truly unleashed. Fenrir the wolf, Jormungandr the serpent, and Hel, the half-dead queen, these were not mere problems, but living prophecies. They were the harbingers of Ragnarok, the end of all things. The gods tried to control them, believing they could outsmart fate, but every attempt only tightened the threads of prophecy, making doom inevitable. This is not the story of Loki's tricks, but of his children, born in darkness, destined to destroy the gods, a wolf to swallow the sun, a serpent to poison the sky, and a queen to rule the dead. In trying to save themselves, the gods sealed their own fate. Their fear was the most potent poison of all. In the iron wood of Jotunheim, Loki and the giantess Angrboda birthed 3 children, each a force of chaos. Fenrir, a wolf with jaws to swallow mountains, Jormungandr, a serpent destined to encircle the world, and Hel, half living, half dead. News of their birth spread quickly, and ancient prophecies warned of their role in Ragnarok. Odin, troubled by visions of doom, saw these children as keys to the gods' destruction. The gods decided to act, venturing into Jotunheim to seize the children. They believed they were protecting the 9 worlds, but their fear blinded them. By confronting the monsters, they set them on their fated paths. The gods' intervention was the first step toward their own destruction. Good intentions paved the road to Ragnarok. The monsters' rise was now inevitable. Of all Loki's children, Fenrir inspired the most fear. Prophecy foretold he would kill Odin at Ragnarok. The gods raised Fenrir in Asgard, watching him grow into a beast of terrifying power. Only Tyr, the god of war, dared approach him, earning the wolf's respect. The gods, unable to kill Fenrir, decided to bind him. They challenged him with chains, lading and dromi, but Fenrir broke them with ease. Each failed attempt deepened the gods' dread. No chain forged by their hands could hold him. Their fear grew, and so did Fenrir's legend. The stage was set for a final, desperate deception. Desperate, the gods sought the dwarves' help to forge an unbreakable fetter. The dwarves crafted Gleipnir, a ribbon made from impossible things. The gods lured Fenrir to a remote island, presenting the ribbon as a test of strength. Fenrir, sensing a trap, demanded a pledge of good faith. One god must place their hand in his mouth. The gods hesitated, but Tyr stepped forward, offering his hand. Bound by Gleipnir, Fenrir struggled, but the ribbon held fast. Realizing the trick, Fenrir bit off Tyr's hand. The gods laughed in relief, but their victory was hollow. They had betrayed their bravest, and Fenrir's hatred was sealed. The wolf was chained, but the prophecy was only strengthened. Tyr's sacrifice bound Fenrir, but at a terrible cost. The gods anchored Gleipnir deep in the earth and gagged Fenrir with a sword. The wolf's howls echoed across the worlds, a river of foam flowing from his mouth. Fenrir would remain bound until Ragnarok, his rage festering. The gods believed they were safe, but their actions had guaranteed the coming war. They had traded honor for security, and in doing so became the architects of their own doom. Fenrir's vengeance was inevitable. The gods' laughter masked their fear. The monster was chained, but the end was set in motion. The battle was won, but the war was lost. Odin could not bear the sight of Jormungandr, the serpent. Fearing prophecy, he hurled the young serpent into the ocean, encircling Midgard. The gods thought they had rid themselves of a threat. But in the depths, Jormungandr grew, feeding and expanding until he encircled the world. He became the Midgard serpent, holding his own tail, a living boundary between worlds. Sailors felt his presence in storms and whirlpools, never knowing the true cause. The gods had given him a kingdom, not a prison. Jormungandr waited in the dark, destined to rise at the world's end. Out of sight, but never gone. Thor, champion of Midgard, became Jormungandr's greatest enemy. Their rivalry was legendary, destined to end in mutual destruction. In one tale, Thor went fishing with the giant Hymir, using an ox's head as bait. Jormungandr took the hook, and Thor pulled the serpent from the depths, the sea churning with their struggle. Thor raised his hammer to strike, but Hymir, terrified, cut the line. The serpent vanished, and Thor's vengeance was denied. Their hatred only deepened, binding them to a final confrontation. Both knew they would meet again at Ragnarok. The world would tremble when the serpent rose to poison the sky. Only then would their battle end. Hel, Loki's daughter, was cast into Niflheim to rule the dead. Odin gave her dominion over those who died of sickness or old age. Her realm, Helheim, was bleak and inescapable, guarded by the hound Garmr. Hel ruled with stern authority, her subjects never to return to the living. Her power became clear after Baldur's death. She held the beloved god hostage, demanding all things weep for his return. One refused, and Baldur remained in Helheim, the light gone from Asgard. Hel's grip on the dead ensured the world's imbalance. She was the jailer of souls, her influence growing as Ragnarok approached. The gods' attempt to contain her only strengthened her power. In darkness, she waited, ready to unleash her army. The gods believed they had averted disaster by imprisoning Loki's children. In truth, they had guaranteed Ragnarok, Fenrir's Raj, Jormungandra's poison, and Hel's army would all be unleashed. Leipnir would snap, and Fenrir would swallow the sun and Odin himself. Jormungandr would rise, flooding the world and poisoning the sky, only to fall to Thor, who would die from the serpent's venom. Hel would release the dishonored dead, marching behind Loki on the ship Nagfar. The gods' fear had set these events in motion. Their attempts to escape fate only ensured its fulfillment. Loki's true legacy was not mischief, but the doom his children brought. The gods became the architects of their own destruction. Ragnarok was inevitable.